The end of Bungie. This is such a sad video, man. I remember back in the day, Halo Reach lobbies were everything. You had to put some respect on Bungie's art form of creating video games. They made sure it was fun. They made sure things had character. It was a beautiful time, fellas. But that's gone. That's gone. Bungie in 2025 is apparently about to be absorbed by PlayStation completely. Forget that independent shit, which is why we didn't get a Halo Reach 2. I feel like we needed a Halo Reach 2, by the way. Just let me be my own Spartan again. That's it. The Marathon trailer and gameplay reveal was so bad. I remember watching that gameplay and it looked so dog shit that I couldn't believe that they decided to stop producing Destiny 3, allegedly, in order to focus on Marathon. What is up with game developers consistently making horrible decisions? Well, we're about to find out the consequences to doing so.
Bungie set to be fully absorbed by PlayStation after Destiny 2 and Marathon missed the mark. I can't say I didn't see this coming, truthfully. I've been covering Bungie and Marathon news for the past few months, and after Sony paid $3.6 billion for the original Halo creators, they've seen nothing in terms of a return on their investment. Destiny 2 is over time losing steam and player base. That's not to say people aren't fans of the franchise anymore. They want a Destiny 3, the next chapter in the franchise. Many people think Destiny 2 has run its course. Quick side note, I'm testing Destiny 2 for the first time in a long time for an upcoming video. That is going to be interesting. Marathon, on the other hand, Bungie's new title, was announced to be delayed indefinitely. The tentative release date for Marathon is end of fiscal year 2025, which is the end of March 2026. Even Marathon, as you guys have no doubt heard by now, that's had its fair share of drama. Stolen art, developers not being listened to, executives making broad sweeping decisions that hurt their games overall. It's been negative after negative after negative, and Sony has had enough.
Here's the reason on why just because you buy a studio, it doesn't guarantee success. Because what makes a studio successful is actually the people. So Sony's looking at the success of Destiny saying, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna just buy them and then they'll make me more money. No, not necessarily. You're buying the IP, sure, when acquiring a studio, like you're kind of buying control of that title, but what actually makes that title is the developers themselves. So you can acquire Bungie, but none of the developers that actually made Destiny are of quality. Too many people leave and go in game development, meaning you can have the best product of all time, then within a year, that product can be shit. If I were to purchase a gaming studio, for instance, Bungie, I would make sure that I hire the developers that were responsible for Destiny, the original, what made that game great. Also, what makes Destiny 2 great, everyone else is fired. I would probably keep about 10% of Bungie developers. And that's me being honest. I think the rest are DEI hires anyway. So of course, Marathon's gonna be garbage. Who would have thought? Wow.
From the research that I always do, and I've been constantly doing videos as this situation has evolved over the years, this started back in 2024. Sony acquires Bungie and shrunk the studio from 1,300 employees down to 850. This was followed by another 220 roles being removed from the studio, and with that round, 150 of those roles moved to Sony directly. This to me was the first consolidation of Bungie being absorbed into Sony completely. The only glimmer of positive news I have with that round of layoffs was that the ex-Halo music creator and Destiny 2, Michael Salvatore, he was hired back after being laid off last year. I don't know what Bungie was thinking firing a man as talented as that, a veteran of the industry with a stellar portfolio. They actually had the audacity to fire him without any notice. Truthfully, I'm surprised he even came back after how they treated him. I really hope he demanded a substantial wage increase to make up for being fired. To give extra context to that, by the way, back in 2024, Bungie executives and leadership were laying off staff specifically so that when stock the employees had in the company matured, so Bungie stock itself, when it was actually going to be worth something, and if an employee left with that stock matured, Bungie would have to pay them out. They didn't want to do that. They wanted to keep the money for themselves, so they fired their staff.
See, Sony somewhat had the right idea. You get rid of a bunch of useless employees, granted, but guess what? You didn't get rid of useless leadership. You kept Karen at HR, gave her a promotion, and also a key development role, and that's why it's shit. Just because you keep all of the top performers does not mean they were the creative genius behind a lot of the mechanics and ideas. Firing people and removing people that aren't productive is just part of the process. You have to have a balance of also keeping the people that are actually the creative geniuses behind a lot of the development. But to be honest, like, the only team that I know for sure at Bungie that does their job very, very well in Destiny wise is the art team. Destiny has some of the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen in a video game, hands down. We need a combination of truly talented developers that not only can get their job done efficiently, but also be creative.
They weren't even given a courtesy letter, they just tried to log in one day and found their email access revoked. Fast forward to this year, and I've always said that Bungie will probably never be the same again. I have quite a few friends who work over at the studio, and the sentiment has been shaky at best for the last 6 months. For many developers at the studio, there's not much they can do personally to help the situation, as it's outside their job description. They're assigned tasks, they complete said tasks, and I understand as a day-to-day developer, it's difficult and hard to speak up as you could lose your job. Losing a job in America is especially bad as it can also mean you lose your health insurance. It is up to management to steer the ship, and it's clear they haven't done that for a long time.
I just don't get it, man. Like, AAA game dev leadership is just a mystery to me. You had enough employees, right? There were about 1,200 Bungie employees. That's a lot. That's a big studio. But the game itself didn't change at all. You said, hey, I'm going to develop another game as well. That game bombed, or is going to bomb. Has Marathon even fucking released? That's how you know it's garbage. I don't even know if Marathon has released yet. Let me look this up right now. Oh, it's coming out this month. Bro, that game is going to do horribly. It's gonna oh my god. And Borderlands is coming out this week. I know that date because I care about that game title, but I forgot completely about Marathon until this video, to be honest. But you split up the developers and you create even more garbage. So you already got a product that was once good but got rotten pretty badly. You didn't take care of it. You didn't keep it in the fridge. And now you're releasing what we all thought you would release, which is shit. Indie developers are the way to go in 2025, fellas. As soon as you corporatize your art form, I feel like this is what happens. Bungie should have just stuck with fucking Halo or released Destiny 3 and called it a day. I get game development can be stressful. I sympathize and empathize with that. But at this point, what is the excuse?
The big headline today is Bungie is to be integrated into PlayStation Studios after Destiny 2 and Marathon underperformed. Bungie is set to lose its independent status and become fully integrated into PlayStation Studios following the underwhelming performances from Destiny 2 and the upcoming Marathon. Bungie wanting to be independent was the very reason as to why they left Halo and Microsoft to start Destiny. Bungie wanted to be free, to not be dictated into being the Halo studio. After making the agreement to make Halo 3, Reach, and ODST, they could move on and have their independence. It is now being taken away due to the horrible decisions by the executives made over the last 2 years. The most notable example of the most horrible thing Pete Parsons, Bungie CEO, has done was back in 2023. He said that layoffs were partially due to the quality miss of the Destiny 2 DLC, Lightfall.
From what I'm understanding, Lightfall is just the same copy and paste bullshit that Destiny has been producing for quite some time. Leadership will blame sales, but they never blame their own capability. DEI hires, Karens at HR, useless middle management, and some of the upper management, if not all, is the problem. That equals low sales. Indie teams are outperforming AAA studios. That is not okay. What is restricting the flow and creativity of studios? Why does a corporate entity screw up so bad? Theoretically, how this should work is that if you have a larger team, you should be able to create better results because the small guy is supposed to be complaining about how they're overworked. Okay, well, you hire more people. Bungie had 1,200 people before. That didn't solve anything. Still really shit. I think there was like some article out there. I forgot the name of the article, or maybe someone said it on YouTube when I was listening to a stream. I've heard this before, and maybe you guys can recall my memory better than I can, but I've heard that the Destiny 2 backend code is so spaghettified. It's so unorganized. It's very hard to even add simple things into the game. And it's amazing that they've even came this far. So I've heard, right? So I've heard.
But then extra information came out that showed executives purposely tanked the DLC. The exact quote read, "Leadership wanted it to fail." Can you imagine how pathetic of a person you have to be to purposely tank your own company's major DLC? This isn't just a video game in this situation. These are people's jobs and livelihood. It was horrible. It's yet another case of executives being out of touch with massive egos, thinking they know better than everyone else, when in actuality the developers, the players, and their audience are screaming at them to change before it's too late. Now it is, and I hope Sony absolutely acts as the delusional leadership at the studio. Do what Microsoft did with 343 Industries and wipe the slate clean, as it's clear the leadership at Bungie don't have the players' best interests at heart.
Bungie has the talent. They know what the community wants, because there are so many quality of life changes within the Destiny mobile app game that it will blow your mind. Why can't these simple ideas be implemented into the main game? Well, I tell you why. Because they're fucking stupid. Everyone has a huge ego. Everyone's hard-headed. And I think this is sometimes pretty funny. Because the people who sometimes make the decisions in game dev studios, they don't play fucking games. They don't have enough time to play video games. They've never even probably played their own game. They know how to market, sure. They might know the legality behind a lot of things, absolutely. How to budget, where to find the cracks, how to measure productivity, but they're not gamers. They're more concerned with optimizing profits.
Hell, they don't even have their employees' best interests at heart. Need I remind anyone that Pete Parsons, the CEO, spent millions on cars every year while developers got the axe. To give more context to the news today as to why Sony is taking away Bungie's independence, it's that back in 2022, Sony acquired Bungie for $3.6 billion. The agreement itself allowed the developer to operate independently, provided profitability targets were met. As you can no doubt tell, these targets were not met at all. The PlayStation CEO said directly today, Bungie's independence is getting lighter, and the studio is shifting into a role where it's becoming more a part of PlayStation Studios. Integration is proceeding. I paraphrase as English is their second language, but you get the general idea. The PlayStation CEO went on to say, in the long term, you can see this as an ongoing process. So the direction is to become part of PlayStation Studios. Bungie will continue to exist as a studio, but it will operate as a first-party developer, creating titles for Sony's core audience. This is a massive, monumental day for Bungie as a studio, as if things continue to go the way they're going, the entire studio could be dissolved completely after Marathon's release.
Honestly, man, I do think they need to be molded into the PlayStation ecosystem at this point. They earned back their freedom, didn't do shit. They did decent for a little while, maybe had a couple wins here and there, but overall ignored players. Released the same DLC 1,000 times. Not only that, they charge you for it. Charge you for the same DLC. Same fetch quests with pretty art. Mechanics. I fell off in Destiny majorly when I purchased a DLC. And I realized that the DLC was just copy and paste. And I didn't really kind of come to terms to it until maybe after like the 6th DLC. I really fell off in Trials of Osiris or the Osiris storyline. That whole arc, I fell off completely. But I shouldn't be able to look at it or no, play a DLC and just predict exactly what I'm going to be doing game mechanic wise every single time. I'm like, oh, okay, I got to go talk to this guy, pick up these quests. Okay, he's going to get me on a longer fucking hunt. Okay, cool. I'm going to hurry up and try to speed run through these story missions so I can actually prepare for the raid. I'm going to grind some strikes, so on. And not saying that gameplay loop is wrong. But what I'm saying is the story elements never really changed. The fact that I want to speed run through your missions so I can hurry up and do what actually matters is not okay. Make every single part of the game feel new, make it feel like I should care about it. And I know there's like hardcore D2 players out there, and this isn't any disrespect towards those individuals. I think in fact some of you all might agree with majority of my points here. It's like Bungie is just this huge empty shell, just an empty shell of what they once were. Like an empty ghost. There you go. I'm gonna tie it in with Destiny, an empty ghost.
The line that says, in the long term, you can see this as an ongoing process, so the direction is to become part of PlayStation Studios. I know by no means is it even close to the old classic Halo Bungie, but it still makes me sad in a way. Speaking of Marathon, by the way, the release, the CEO also said they're on track to release it, things haven't changed, and the game will be going ahead. Marathon is being tested right now as we speak, but I have no idea what changes have been made, and I can only hope the players and the broader gaming audience have been listened to. It will forever be crazy to me that Marathon has a rich history of lore, backstory, and already existing strong narrative elements. Add on that Bungie always used to do amazing campaign and multiplayer titles, and then you come up with an extraction shooter that feels clunky, slow, and the story of that even hasn't been written yet. I mean, come on. The Sony CEO also stated that the performance of Concord, which lost hundreds of millions of dollars, definitely factored into decision making. I'd say Sony and PlayStation are worried that Marathon will be another such case. It very well might be. Even if every perfect change is made to Marathon, there's no guarantee the game will succeed. So many bridges have already been burnt that I genuinely don't know if there's anything that can be done to save it. My guess is a Splitgate style scenario, an initial population at launch, and then it tapers off over time. The only thing that may save the game is that it has the Bungie name. What Sony said directly about Marathon as a whole is that it will probably launch some point before April 2026, although that's not a commitment. If you were curious as to when Bungie is going to show off more new things for Marathon, it'll be in autumn for Americans, so spring for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere. The final thing that the Sony CEO said was that if this launch is cancelled, so if Marathon does get cancelled and doesn't come out, we would need to do a revision of the valuation of Bungie. However, as of now, this is not expected. And that's it. What a day. Bungie has lost its independence. A day I saw coming after the recent history and controversy, but still, it closes a chapter in one of my favorite gaming companies. Growing up, I loved Bungie and the classic Halos that released. Hell, even Destiny 1 still had that charm to me. It's evident over time things changed for the worst. Sony was losing money because of it, so they're stepping in to make good on the money they invest.
Bro, Marathon is gonna do dog shit. I don't even know why we're wasting time talking about this game. It's not gonna sell well. It's not gonna do well. Bungie can even keep up with Destiny 2's player fan base. Well, what makes them think that they can actually uphold decent quality standards in a separate title? Fix the first one. Fix the one that's bringing you the most money. And you know, so crazy, fellas, like all the suggestions I'm making will make them more money. How big is your ego to where none of the things I say register in your head when they benefit you? If you give players good experience, they will happily give you their money. That's always been a thing. I exchange my currency for some sort of value. Just make sure it's actually of quality value. If you listen to the players, you're going to be swimming in money. People will hand you their wallets. There are gamers out there. This is how crazy. I want you guys to really think about how fucking stupid and deserving this downfall is. There are gamers out there, they don't go outside, they don't do anything. They sit at home, they want to spend their entire life on your product. Very few things in the world have that type of attention grabbing power to where a guy wants to sit down, stay stagnant, and play your product. He will dedicate his life to playing your product if it's good enough. That is the video game industry. You can literally be a part of someone's life eternally, distract him from all of his life goals, all of his ambitions. All you have to do is make a product that's so good, so amazing, to where people want to sink time and hours into it. In fact, there are people out there that brag about this stuff, saying, oh, bro, I'm gonna spend my life on this video game. It's a very common thing you see on the internet when it comes to good titles. Yet, ego is such a part of AAA studios, they can't see the obvious fact of if they listen to the consumers, you will make the most amount of money possible and everyone wins. But what you're doing now, no one wins. You don't get any money. It's like, I'm saying common sense stuff right now. I'm not exaggerating. You don't get any money. And the player's not happy. It's a lose-lose. The only way game development works is when it's a win-win. Like, if you want to have a long-lasting title that's popular, let me stop saying popular because not all titles have to be popular for them to be successful, right? You can still have just a dedicated fan base that constantly plays your game. But if you want that to be a consistent source of revenue for you, simply listen to the consumers. There are thousands of Reddit pages, thousands of YouTube videos for free. People that have played your product more than even your own game developers will ever do. They are giving this advice away for free. But Bungie, you have to listen. It's so simple. Copy and paste ideas. You guys know I'm starting really this month. I'm starting my own game development project. It's going to be fun. It's probably going to be garbage, but I'm going to learn a lot. I'm more interested in the mobile app development side of things, or the mobile app ecosystem, because I think like mobile gaming is the future. And trust and believe that I will try my best to to listen to as much advice from creators if they do decide to play my product or my art piece as humanly possible. It's free advice. I don't even have to pay anyone to do this market research for me. I can just look at the comment section. I can look at YouTube videos. You can create a whole fucking chart in Notion of commonalities and problems and just fix them for free. Who would have thought? Wowza. Other than that, let me know what y'all think about this down in the comment section below. Love you all. Subscribe if you're new. Peace.